Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Darth Cuddles, and today we are going to be starting our new series where I'm going to be the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are attempting to rebuild this franchise essentially. So with the series, what is going to happen is I'm just going to solely be the general manager. I have no input on the actual in-game play. We are going to view all the games though. So with the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have taken them, and obviously they're going to go 1-15 this year. So I forced them to go 1-15. I made them, I took their real life record and put it into the game so that it is actually realistic. So what we're going to do is, obviously, we are going to try to rebuild this franchise. And so, for me personally, I'm saying the Jacksonville Jaguars ownership has looked at me and said, hey, we're going to give you a 6-year deal to actively make this team better. So, first off, what we're going to do, Doug Marrone, he is gone. So we have a level 30 scout, which is pretty solid. I am, however, going to get rid of Trevor Poole, who is our trainer. But yeah, I'm going to keep Gene Kyle just because obviously he's a level 30 scout, so I will take it. But yeah, so this team, just taking a look at it right now, we do have 2 first-round picks this year, but our quarterback situation is very, very bad. We do not really have a solid quarterback. Gardner Minshew is not going to be the guy. We do like what we see out of James Robinson. Obviously, good rookie this year. Fullback. Our wide receiver room isn't as good as it could be. Laviska Shenault Jr. is probably going to be one of our best guys, but DJ Chark is... We don't really have a defined superstar wide receiver. So we are going to have to potentially look at that. We don't really have any superstar tight end, so we can potentially look there. Left tackle, Cam Robinson isn't the best, so we probably want to start looking at potentially getting a new left tackle. Andrew Norwell, we're pretty happy with. Brandon Linder, we're happy with. AJ Cam, we're not happy with. And Juwan Taylor, he's young, so we're hopefully going to get him to develop. He is 23, 71 overall. The morale right now, just because obviously these guys have lost basically the entire season. So essentially for the offensive line, we need to look at left tackle, right guard. I'm not going to look too closely yet at right tackle just because... Juwan Taylor is young and he is a promising tackle. When it comes to the defensive line, obviously Josh Allen is probably one of our better players, so we are happy to keep him. Right end, we are probably going to move Kavlon Chason up to that number 1 spot just so we can have him and Allen, the 2 young guys. Obviously, he's not rated too high, but, I just don't think because he had too much playing time. Our D-tackle situation definitely needs to be improved. Our number 1 guy is a 34-year-old, 75 overall player. Left outside linebacker needs help. Middle linebacker, we can probably improve. And then our right outside linebacker, Miles Jack, we are super happy with him. And then the secondary, obviously, CJ Henderson is without a doubt going to be our number 1 guy. We need safety help. Our punter, Josh Lambo, we're happy with. Logan Cook, that was our kicker. Logan Cook's our punter. But yeah, looking at our draft picks, we have first, we have the 6th for the first round, which is actually really, really good. But first, let's continue to move on. We can kind of take a look at the playoff bracket here. So, playoff bracket in this universe, starting with the NFC, it looks like the San Francisco 49ers beat the Detroit Lions 33-28. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Chicago Bears 34-24. And the Dallas Cowboys beat the Philadelphia Eagles 27-21. Now moving over to the AFC, the Cleveland Browns lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 34-28. Houston Texans 31-10 win over the Bengals. And then the Las Vegas Raiders lost 13-20 over the Tennessee Titans. So that's where the playoff kind of stands at the moment. Again, for us, there's nothing we can really do at that point. Hire some staff. This is where we are going to look. We're going to start looking at coaches first. All right. I want to have a 4-3 defense. I think keeping the defense what it is right now is good. Thomas Petta, I like Thomas Petta. I've used him before. We're going to give him a 6-year deal. Actually, let's give him a 6.3-year deal, 4 years. And then we're going to look Nick Garrett, world class. We're going to give him 1.5 for 4 years. That's going to be the team right there. Looking at the playoff bracket, starting with the NFC, we have the Saints beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 38-14. Then we have the Dallas Cowboys beating the San Francisco 49ers 23-13. Then we have the Patriots losing to the Kansas City Chiefs 28-21. And then we have the Tennessee Titans beating the Houston Texans 21-13. Right, moving into the next week. Again, we are not even going to look at the Pro Bowl at this point. We don't really care. So we have hired Nick Garrett as our trainer, and we have also hired Thomas Petta as our head coach. So this is moving forward. Looking at the playoff brackets, we see the Tennessee Titans beat the Kansas City Chiefs 27-24, and it looks like the Cowboys beat the New Orleans Saints 31-27. So it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys versus the Tennessee Titans in the Super Bowl. That should be a pretty interesting matchup. Now, looking at the yearly awards, just to see what happened. Cam Newton with the Patriots won the MVP award. Mike McCarthy from the Cowboys won Coach of the Year. Patrick Mahomes won Offensive Player of the Year for AFC. Defensive Player goes to Matt Milano. Offensive Rookie goes to Joe Burrow. Defensive Rookie goes to Logan Wilson. So the Cincinnati Bengals got some pretty solid players there. Best quarter, we're going to skip over that part. Offensive Player of the Year goes to Nick Foles from the Bears. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Bobby Wagner. Offensive Rookie goes to Cam Akers. Chase Young gets Defensive Player of the Year. So those are our award winners so far this year. And so for scouting, what I did is I found a draft class that someone has created that I liked. I did have to make a couple of modifications just to kind of put some players where realistically they look like they're going. Obviously, number 1 pick, Trevor Lawrence. He looks absolutely incredible. In real life, he's far and away the best quarterback in this class, and it's not even close. Right now, a lot of people are saying that Zach Wilson is looking like he is going to take the number 2 quarterback spot away from Justin Fields, but I think these two are still fairly close. So I had to move these guys around. Obviously, in the draft class, I also moved up Mac Jones and Kyle Trask, because in this draft class, the guy who created it, which is C4, so if you want this draft class, go look it up, and it's C4 2020 or 2021 NFL draft. Yeah, it's I would say it's a fairly solid draft class. You know, he has all 7 rounds plus undrafted free agents, but right here we see Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. Both of these guys are realistically going to go in the first round. We also have Trey Lance in here as well. Trey Lance probably a little higher in this than probably most people would have, but I think that's realistically fine. But yeah, this is where our draft class lies so far. Obviously, we've looked at all of these quarterbacks. Running backs, we're not really going to take a look at the running backs this year. We took a quick look at some of the wide receivers here. Tight ends, kind of took a peek at some of these guys. Again, we hold the 1st and the 6th pick, which is really, really solid. We looked at all of the offensive linemen here because, frankly, I will always look at offensive linemen just because always upgrading your offensive line is never a bad thing. Defensive line, I haven't really looked at other than the tackle, just because we need to get better up front. Left outside linebacker, I've looked into pretty heavily. Looked into middle linebackers here, just because I think we can improve. Dylan Moses in the second round, I kind of like the look at that. We aren't going to look at right outside linebacker just because we have Miles Jack. I'm not going to take a look at corner right away. I'd rather take a look at some of these safeties, just because I think we might be able to get better value out of that. So let's move on into the off season. Alright, and it looks like the Dallas Cowboys beat the Tennessee Titans 35-17. We are now going to look at the 2020 retirements. Cameron Wake retires with the Cowboys. Drew Brees retires. Craig Robertson. Chad Hennes. LaShawn McCoy retires. Jason McCarty. Julian Edelman. Danny Abdullah. Adrian Peterson. Jason Peters. Richie Incognito. Penn Roethlisberger. Greg Olson retires. Alex Smith retires. Andrew Whitworth retires. Delaney Walker. Frank Gore. Donald Penn. Adam Vinatieri. So there is actually a fair amount of pretty solid players retiring this year. Alright, now looking at our negotiation table right now. Sidney Jones, 25 years old. 80 overall corner. Right now he is kind of rated as our top corner, so I'm not going to be opposed to doing that. I think I probably will let Keelan Cole go just because he's 28, so he's not going to be getting any better. He only has a normal development trait. And then we also have D.D. Westbrook, who is pretty much the same as Keelan Cole, just a year younger and a better depth trait. But right now, Sidney Jones, we are going to try to lock up. Right now, it looks like we have $86.8 million. Exact deal that we wanted. We're going to let Keelan Cole walk. D.D. Westbrook, we are going to bring back. Let's see right there. If we can get him on this deal, he is going to test out free agency. DJ Hayden, probably not. 75 overall corner, 31 years old. Trey Henderson, I'm potentially gonna let him walk. He is 25, but he isn't that great, and with the normal dev trade, he's probably not going to increase a whole lot more. So we're going to let Trey Henderson walk. This team has a lot of rebuilding to do. Cam Robinson, 76 overall. I am kind of curious to see where, again, this is one of those moves that I want to make, but I don't know where the best offensive lineman, or actually, you know what, let's bring him back, just because we are going to have solid tackles, and obviously we are going to try to bring back we are going to bring in Trevor Lawrence, so we need to have a very solid offensive line. Mike Glennon, you are definitely not coming back. Terrible quarterback. We're going to try to bring back all of the star-rated players, just because I think they are going to help out our team just a little bit more. Adam Goatees, I think this was our starting left guy over Kavion Chason. So we are going to let these two guys walk and kind of take a look at where we can go. Chris Connolly, I think we're going to let him walk. He is a speedy guy, but we are going to try to rebuild it. Alright, so everything at the moment, none of these guys I'm really interested in bringing back. So we are going to let all of those guys walk, and then we are going to move into the free agency. So looking at our team going into free agency, obviously we know we hold the first overall pick. That right there is pretty much solely going to go towards Trevor Lawrence, so we're not upset there. Any moves we can make here that can free up some space, I am going to release this guy because I don't know who he is, and same with this guy. None of these guys, other than James Robinson, are really going to make that much of a difference towards our squad. Fullbacks, and right now we have DJ Shark, and then we also have Laviscus Chavant. I'm probably going to release Colin. You know what? We'll keep Colin Johnson, but we are going to try to get back. What's his name? Do I want to keep Tyler Erfit? You know what? Let's take a look at the market right now and just see what's available. We do have $75 million in cap space. Alright, so going into wide receivers here. D.D. Westbrook isn't trying to be bought by anyone, so we are going to try to sneak in. Still give him the exact same deal. I don't think anyone's really going to test it right there. We're not really looking at any of these guys. Zach Pascal. Let's just see. AJ Green. That could be an interesting one. I would love it if I'd be able to look at some of these guys' stats. John Ross, we could bring him in solely for the deep threat ability. I think that's potentially what we'll do, is just bring him in for his deep threat ability, but we're not bringing him in for 3 years. We're only going to bring him in for 1. Give him that kind of deal. Moving on towards the tight ends here. We have Gronkowski, we have Cook, both of these guys older. Jordan Reed older, Robert Toyana. So you know what, we'll probably keep Erfit just because he is going to be probably our number 1 guy. You know, he's 30 years old. We're not paying him a crazy amount of money, and all these guys we're probably going to be having to pay a lot more than what we currently already have. We are not going to go after Trent Williams. That is a big contract for a guy who's 33, who's only going to be dropping off. Left guard, again, we're not really looking there. Alex Mack might not be a bad option. 35 though. We do potentially need to bring in another guy, but you know, 3 points higher for a guy who we're going to have to pay a decent amount, probably not. Again, nothing really there. Josh Allen, he moves up to a superstar X Factor, so we are pretty happy with that. You know what, let's bring in Trent Murphy as a backup to Josh Allen. Really like that deal, bring him in as a backup. And then obviously we have tackle Sheldon Richardson. I don't really want to fight with a bunch of teams for a guy who is 27. So he's not old, but he's not exactly young either. Yeah, again, I'm not really sure with that position right there. Ray Hendrickson, 82 overall. That could be a potential look at there. Romeo Wakare. I could be interested in looking at this type of move right here. As long as it's not too crazy absurd for the amount of money. Give it 2 years, $6 million, 4.25. Pretty solid deal, I would say, right there. Son Riddick, I feel would be a pretty solid move to bring him in as well. For again, we're probably going to try to. Well, he wants a big time deal. I'm not sure if I'm willing to give that to him. Joe Sherbert, we can't really bring in another free agent linebacker just because we are paying so much money to Sherbert. Obviously, with Miles Jack, we are happy there. Xavier Rhodes, We do have CJ Henderson, and he is a superstar, so that's pretty solid. Safeties here. Looking at some of the contracts, Marcus Williams. He is the best guy here, but again, we're going to have to fight and pay him a pretty decent amount. Keanu O'Neal, again, it's kind of the same thing. I am going to go after Carl Joseph here, just because he is the top kind of guy. You know, he's going to be a vastly better improvement over Thomas. Alright, actually, before we move on, let's just take a look at some of the negotiations. So Romeo Okwara, Carl Joseph, D.D. Westbrook, Trent Murphy, and John Ross III. Moving into next week, let's see how many of these guys we can actually get. So Carl Joseph is accepted, Oriki Okwara is accepted, Trent Murphy, D.D. Westbrook, and John Ross all have accepted. So for us, that is good news. So looking at the draft class, again, we hold the 1st and the 6th pick. So I don't know if Penny Swells would be a guy that we potentially would be able to get. Mikael Pearson would be absolutely huge for this team to get. Dude is an absolute monster. Jamar Chase would be a really good get. Then again, Kyle Pitts would also be really huge. Just look at that. He's just a monster. Gregory Rousseau. So there is a bunch of really talented players we could get in that top area. We just need to see where they go. But again, continuing looking on with the safeties. We did just bring in Carl Joseph to this section, but it's still a good idea to take a look at what's there. Going into, we are going to bypass any signings in week 2. Continue looking on here. Seeing if there's any studs in this draft class. Alright, we are going to take a look at some of these corners, just because I feel like we probably won't get any of those top guys. Let's see where some of these big players have signed. Trent Williams signs with the Panthers. Rob Gronkowski signs with the Bengals. Philip Lindsay with the Jets. Marcus Williams with the Raiders. James Conner with the Ravens. And then we have Alex Mack with the Bengals. That's good for them. Bud Dupree with the Bengals. Bengals are making some money moves. Trey Hendrickson with the Bills. Jaylen Brown. Alright. But yeah, we got all the players that we wanted. Still looking at some of the players that are right here. Again, there's really no one that's popping out looking insanely great for us. So we are going to move into week 4. Alright. Continue looking on at some of the corners that are available. Alright, so this is kind of where we are going to have to end up. So just kind of looking at all of the positions at the moment, we know we hold the 1st overall pick, and Trevor Lawrence is our guy. And then, obviously, it would be awesome if we could end up somehow getting Penny Swell. I don't really think that's going to happen. But Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mikael Pearson, I would also be really happy getting him. Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts. All of these, a bunch of those guys could be really solid options. But we need to see how the draft goes. We are lucky enough to have the 1st and 6th pick, because in this apparently the Rams didn't do as well. just because they're piquing my curiosity. You know, they are trying to give us a bunch of picks, but I'm gonna have to say no. We know why we're here. We tanked for a reason. It's tank for Trevor. We are taking him, and he is an 82 overall hidden dev trait. We are pretty damn happy with that. The Miami Dolphins select Penny Swells, left tackle. They are now protecting their guy in Tua Tagovailoa. Let's see what the New York Giants are going to do. They select Zach Wilson out of BYU. The Daniel Jones era is done. Let's see what the Cardinals do. They select Jamar Chase. They want to get D-Hop they want to get Kyler Murray, another weapon beside DeAndre Hopkins. Let's see what the Washington football team is going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if they chose Kyle Pitts out of Florida. That move actually surprises me just a little bit because I figured they would have gone quarterback. Again, always got to do your GM job and taking a small peek at what people are prepared to give you. So the Browns are prepared to give us a first-round pick in next year's draft and a fifth. Colts a first, a third next year, and a seventh this year. Jets, the Patriots just want to straight up trade 1-for-1. That's not going to happen. None of those picks look appetizing to me. So right now, it's pretty tough for me not to say Mikel Pearson. He just looks like an unbelievably talented, and he's a 76 overall hidden dev trait player. He's going to be an absolute beast for us. We're going to continue to go on through the first round, just going pick by pick. It looks like the Jets are now selecting Justin Fields. After their terrible tank for Trevor Lawrence, they end up getting what I consider to be the number 2 quarterback in the draft in Justin Fields. And with the Seahawks pick, they get Jalen Waddle, wide receiver. So they immediately look at him, or they immediately look at their quarterback in Justin Fields, saying, we're going to get you a solid wide receiver. The Carolina Panthers go with Carlos Basham Jr., and then the Minnesota Vikings get Gregory Rossum. Pittsburgh Steelers get Trey Lance, quarterback. So they obviously see Big Ben retire. They don't have an option. They decide to go and get themselves Trey Lance. Chargers get Creed Humphrey, center, helping protect Justin Herbert. Or the Denver Broncos, Joseph Owase. Atlanta Falcons get Jay Turfel. The Indianapolis Colts get Patrick Sternum. The Bills get Wyatt Davis, right guard. Packers get Jawan Taman, D tackle. Caleb Farley, corner. Falcons, 73 overall. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. To the Lions at the tight end spot. That is actually a pretty shocking move. Jace Horn, corner for the Eagles, 69. Rashawn Slater, right tackle to the Bengals. So they are clearly trying to protect Joe Burrow. Another D tackle, Christian Barrymore to the Raiders. The Browns go and select Sean Wade, corner. They are just adding more pieces to that secondary. Sam Cosmi, left tackle from Texas, goes to the Bears. Buccaneers get Marvin Wilson, D tackle, 71. Again, with the second pick, Miami, Azui Argilleri, left guard, or not left guard, left outside linebacker. The 49ers, Izira Mokawari. There's a lot of tough names in this. Devontae Smith goes to the Patriots. Eric Stone, corner, goes to the Chiefs. Quincy Roach, left end, goes to the Saints. Titans get Chaz Sarati, middle linebacker. And the Cowboys get Javon Holland, free safety. 74 overall. Again, we're always going to take a look just to see if someone is going to completely overpay. I'm not really seeing what's there. Again, we want to use our picks as best as we can. We have Mac Jones here. We have Randall Moore. Take a look here. Okay. So he's got some speed to him. Okay, interesting. Randall Moore could be a pretty solid player for us. Scouting. It looks, I'm just taking a peek here. Jackson Carman, mid first round left tackle, so it's probably not going to be that much better than what we currently have at left tackle. Dylan Moses, mid first rounder at middle linebacker, so we could have our middle linebacker of future here in Dylan Moses. You know what? I am going to go towards Dylan Moses just because I think, obviously looking there, 75 overall, hidden dev trait. I am really, really happy with that. We're not going to go pick by pick from now on. We are just going to move on. So we have kind of taken a little bit of our linebacking situation. Mac Jones and Kyle Trask have not gone yet, which is a bit of a surprise. So looking here at the third round, we don't really need a center, so it's not our number one priority here. Corner, late third round. We're not really looking for a late third round. Kind of looking for a guy that has early third round potential because that's where we are. Yeah, I'm okay with going with a Darius Stills, normal 68. Just kind of help bolstering our D tackle spot. All right, with the first pick in the fourth round, what do we have here? Again, so far we have really just kind of gone after, defense thus far, kind of trying to rebuild essentially what that Jacksonville defense used to be like. I do want to potentially get some more offensive players in this draft. It's just kind of not really how it's worked out so far. And then looking at Aiden Stearns, early third round talent. Yeah, sure, let's go here. Kind of helping out our secondary. 69 overall hidden dev trait. I'm happy with that. Then we have another quick pick right here. Mid third round guy, Bubba Bolden. What is our free safety situation looking like? We're going to kind of pass over that for the moment. Hopefully we can find some really, really talented offensive weapons here. What is he? A left guard, so I'm not terribly disappointed with that. Late third round, so not bad for value. 67 normal. We got good value off of him. Moving on to the fifth round. Again, at this point, I'm not really looking too much, so we do have a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh. Again, at this point, he hasn't really gone, and we are in the fifth round. We're trying to strengthen up that D tackle core, so yeah, I'm going to go here. 68. You never know, you might find a gem in one of those guys. Alright. Let's see what else is there. Hopefully something kind of looks like all of the players that we are wanting are kind of going away. We already took a strong safety, so we're not going to be taking a second there. Right tackle, unfortunately, we might have to kind of overreach on some of these guys. Again, we're trying to bolster our offensive line. He's not really going to be a starter for our team. He's going to be kind of like just a backup. Hopefully that right tackle's still there in seventh for us, just so we can, again, bolster this offensive line. and it does not look like it's there. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at fullbacks here. Corey Mack, this guy looks like a beast. He's a 48 overall. He is not a good player. That is our first really, really bad pick. He just looked like he had unbelievable stats. I'm just gonna do, like, he's not even good fullback standards. So I'm just gonna, it's just gonna be immediately release. We're just gonna say he's done some really poor choice things. So just looking at the draft class, we're going to look and see who got arguably the number one player, which is us, number one. Number two, Kyle Pitts was a 79, Jamar Chase, Justin Fields, Gregory Rossum, White Davis, Mikael Pearson. So we didn't get a bad player in Mikael Pearson right there, so I'm pretty happy with that. Could have gone Rondale Moore, being a 76. He had that 95 speed. Who was the fastest player in this draft class? Rondale Moore, Jalen Waddle, both pretty much the same. Anthony Schwartz. Okay. But yeah, now taking a look at what our draft class looked like. So again, Trevor Lawrence, again, we needed to immediately go after a quarterback, and Trevor Lawrence being the number one option. You know, he has that hidden dev trait. I feel like I know what he is. Mikael Pearson, he's a really, really solid left outside linebacker for us. He's rated as a speed rusher. He's not really an edge rusher. He's really kind of just a perfect outside linebacker. Dylan Moses, we're really, really happy with. He's a 75 hidden dev trade, so we have severely bolstered our linebacking situation. And then, you know, it's kind of just an average rest of the draft. We have Darius Stills, normal dev trait, 68. Caden Stearns, 69 hidden dev trait, so we're pretty happy with that. Jamar Slayer, 67 left guard. Again, nothing really special there. Jordan Williams, another tackle. But yeah, that is what we have done so far in the offseason. Looking at the team thus far, we are going to make some adjustments for our depth trait. Even though I said, like, I'm not going to be playing any of the games, I'm still going to have control over who starts, just because I think that's better. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, we want to start. James Robinson, we are going to have to find a third running back. Josh Oliver is our starting fullback. Wide receiver, yeah, we have 5 guys here. I'm pretty okay with that. Yeah, right there. Cam Robinson, Andrew Norwell, Brandon Linder, AJ Cann, Juan Taylor. Obviously, we have Trent Murphy as our backup. Then, obviously, I would like Kavion Chason to be there because he was the first round pick the Jags made the season prior to with one of their first round picks. I would like him to be kind of a little bit better, but yeah, I'm not complaining there. Again, we didn't unfortunately get much better in terms of the D-tackle spot, but you know, we did get some younger players. Mikael Pearson, he's going to be absolutely great for us. Dylan Moses, I'm honestly willing to just throw him right over top of Joe Sherbert. I'm not going to do that just yet. I kind of want him to be... We're going to get him out there, but we're not going to have him there just yet. Obviously, Miles Jack, big. CJ Henderson is going to be our number one guy. We do need to find a third corner here. Yeah, just not anything special there. Carl Joseph, we did just bring in, I forget how long we brought him in, but Caden Stearns, he's our young guy, so we're going to be happy there. Punter, kick returner, D.D. Westbrook, yeah. Punt returner, D.D. Westbrook. Kickoffs, Long snapper, don't really care about none of that. James Robinson. Slot wide receiver, yep. Right outside, right, yeah. Kel Pearson. Okay, so he's going to potentially be playing a bunch of that. Sub linebacker, Miles Jack, okay. Alright, so we still have a couple of moves that we need to make. Some free agency. Alright, so corner Joe Hayden, 79 overall. So he's going to be right around all of our other guys. Actually, Kevin King might be a better option here. He's only 1 point lower, and he's 26 years old, so I'm not upset with that. Bring him in. He's going to be our third wide receiver. And I saw Cordell Patterson right here. You know, we do need a backup running back, and I think that'd be a good option for us. And he doubles as a punt returner, so I'm pretty happy with that. So, looking at this team as of right now, we have basically all of our wide receivers are star. You know, we don't know what we have in Trevor Lawrence. Kind of feel like we know what we have in Trevor Lawrence. And then the defense, I feel, is vastly more improved. Obviously, we have Miles Jack and Kel Pearson. Dylan Moses will eventually take the reins. Carl Joseph, you know, I forget how long we have Carl Joseph locked up for. Just take a look at his contract. We have him locked up for 3 years. So at the end of the 2022 season, or 2021-2022 season, we're going to be able to see what Stearns is, and then we can potentially see if we can move on from Joseph and get him playing. Obviously, CJ Henderson is our number 1 guy. And then we also have Kevin King as our number 3. So this defense is improved. I would still like to get better from the D tackle spot, but right now this is kind of the best that we have. Special teams, nothing really too special there. But yeah, kind of like the kind of roles of James Robinson, Cordell Patterson there. I think that's pretty solid. Yeah, overall, I am fairly happy with how this has gone. So just taking a look at upgrading some of the players. Chris Playworks. Not really sure who that is, but yeah, sure. But yeah, going into the preseason, we are going to be watching all 4 preseason games. We are going to be watching those in the next episode, because right now this is where we are going to end off. Thank you everyone for stopping by and watching. See you next episode. Peace.